You know that feeling when you walk away from a conversation, maybe a negotiation, or even just a casual chat with a friend, and suddenly you realize you've completely agreed to something you didn't even want to do? You probably thought, well, that was my choice. But what if it wasn't? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to expose the hidden frameworks that literally govern our daily interactions and influence our every move. We're unpacking the fascinating and, honestly, kind of unsettling world of dark psychology. We're talking about how to influence, persuade, and absolutely, most importantly, protect yourself from manipulation.
Okay, let's dive into this by looking at the incredibly relatable journey of the author behind our source material today, a guy known simply as Dr. Hiro. Take a look at this timeline. So in year 1, he was a completely failed salesman. I mean, he literally couldn't sell a single thing to anyone. But then this massive realization hit him. Sales and influence, they aren't about the product at all. They are entirely about the mind of the buyer. So in year 2, he just became obsessed. He started studying everything he could get his hands on. Brainwashing, manipulation, military psychology, negotiation, the whole shebang. And the result? By year 3, applying these exact techniques, he transformed himself into one of the absolute top salespeople in all of Japan.
And that incredible personal transformation is exactly what led to his book, which has now sold well over 100,000 copies in Japan. To put that into perspective, that is a massive number, and it tells us something absolutely crucial right out of the gate. The strategies we're about to unpack, they aren't just theoretical academic concepts. No way. They are highly effective, field-tested tools that hundreds of thousands of people are already studying to gain a massive advantage in the game of life.
But, before we go any further, we need to completely demystify what we're actually talking about here. Look at this definition. Dark psychology is the study and application of psychological principles to influence, persuade, and control others, often without their conscious awareness, right? So this isn't magic. It definitely isn't mind control from some crazy sci-fi movie. It is simply the scientific reality that human beings are constantly being influenced. The words we hear, the situations we're placed in, it all shapes our behavior, whether we realize it's happening or not.
So how do we actually master this? Well, here's our roadmap for today's masterclass. Number 1, we'll lay down the 4 psychological pillars. 2, we'll arm you with 5 techniques of control. 3, we'll draw the hard ethical line between light and dark psychology. 4, we'll look at the 3 influence archetypes to see exactly where you fit in. And finally, number 5, the most important part of all, protecting your mind. Let's get right to it.
Section 1, the 4 psychological pillars. We've got to understand the what before we can master the how.
These 4 pillars support the entire structure of psychological influence. Step 1 is perception management. The hard truth here is that our human senses are inherently flawed and, frankly, very easily manipulated. If you can frame a situation to your advantage, you control what others see and believe. Step 2, emotional engineering. Emotions are the direct gateway to a person's logic. Master emotional dynamics, and you can build incredibly rapid rapport. Step 3, language as a weapon. Words have power way beyond their literal dictionary definitions. And finally, step 4 is behavioral psychology. If you understand exactly why people do what they do, you can predict and shape their habits. These 4 steps, they are the literal gateways to the human mind.
Section 2, 5 techniques of control. Time to transition into our practical arsenal with some real-world examples.
Technique number 1 is the power of praise. Now, you might be thinking, praise? Come on, that's not dark or manipulative. But as a strategic tool, it is an absolute weapon. Strategic, sincere praise is used to build intense loyalty, increase motivation, and importantly, it dramatically lowers defensive barriers. When you provide someone with the validation they secretly crave, you create a very strong bond, and that bond creates a silent, almost invisible sense of obligation.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the neurological proof backing this all up. fMRI brain scans literally show that when a person receives praise, the striatum region of their brain lights up in the exact same way as if you just handed them a stack of cold, hard cash. It's wild, right? People are biologically hardwired to crave this validation. When you become the source of that emotional currency, you instantly gain immense influence over their decision-making process.
So, let me ask you this directly. Is jealousy destroying your team, your relationship, your workplace, or is it driving it? This brings us to technique 2, the weapon of jealousy. Too much jealousy absolutely destroys collaboration, but a master influencer knows how to do what we call a judo pivot.
By carefully introducing healthy competition, you can use that natural, unavoidable human instinct of jealousy to drive performance through the roof. It's all about controlling the dose.
Moving right along to techniques 3 and 4, which are really all about subtly guiding the interaction. Technique 3 dictates that before you ever react to anyone, you must first read their emotional state. Most people just react based on how they feel in the moment. If you read the other person first, you gain a massive strategic advantage. And technique 4, that's unconscious influence. This involves using strategic questioning, pattern interrupts, and embedded commands in your sentences to make people follow your lead without ever realizing you're the one holding the compass.
The crucial point here is that understanding all of this brings us directly to Technique 5, protection from manipulation. The ultimate application of learning these first 4 techniques isn't just so you can go out and use them on people. No, it's so you can actively defend against those who are already trying to use them on you. Because at the end of the day, you cannot defend against a weapon you don't understand.
Section 3. Light versus dark psychology. Let's shift gears and talk about ethical boundaries.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact boundary we're talking about. The difference is staggering when you look at this contrast. Light psychology is all about transparency, whereas dark psychology relies heavily on strategic ambiguity. Light psychology aims for empowerment, dark psychology strictly seeks control. In light psychology, the person is consciously aware of what's happening, but in dark psychology, the influence is completely unconscious. Here's the kicker. The tools are exactly the same. The only difference between ethical and unethical use lies strictly in your intent and the other person's consent.
Section 4, the 3 influence archetypes. As we go through these, I want you to ask yourself, who are you in the game of life?
First up, we have the master influencer. This is the ideal archetype. This person is highly aware, strategic, and perceptive. They embody the core lesson of everything we're talking about today. They understand psychological dynamics deeply, they read emotional states accurately, and ideally they use this incredible power of influence ethically and responsibly to create win-win situations in their business and personal life.
On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have the victim. And look, this is the tragic reality for so many people. They are unaware of manipulation tactics, they are overly trusting that everyone just has purely good intentions, and because of that, they are completely vulnerable to being controlled. I really want to stress this. This entire explainer exists specifically to prevent you from ever falling into this category.
And then we have the third archetype, the one you absolutely must be warned about, the demagogue. This person is exploitative, highly unethical, and usually extremely charismatic. They have totally mastered the dark psychology techniques we've discussed, but they use them purely for selfish, harmful purposes with absolutely no concern for the well-being of the people they're controlling.
Section 5. Protecting your mind. This is the climax of our explainer. It is time to build an impenetrable psychological shield.
Let's move to and see how this builds into an actionable defense strategy for your everyday life. First, you must practice recognizing manipulation tactics in real time. Actually, scratch that. You need to catch them the second they happen. When someone offers you highly strategic praise, flag it in your mind. Second, maintain a constant awareness of influence attempts, whether it's a salesperson or a colleague. Third, build your psychological resilience by setting incredibly firm boundaries. And finally, develop deep critical thinking about persuasion. Never ever accept a framing at face value. Always ask yourself, why is this person presenting the information to me in this specific way?
So I'm going to look right at you and ask, are you being influenced without knowing it? The honest answer, for all of us, is yes. For sure, every single day. But from this moment forward, you are no longer blind to it. Understanding the dark side of psychology, understanding how influence really works beneath the surface, is the only way to ensure you are the one actually steering the ship of your own life.
I want to leave you with this profound thought highlighted in the source material. People are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things. It's so true, isn't it? Perception is absolutely everything. How a situation is framed determines how you and everyone else will respond to it. So as you go back into the world today, pay really close attention to the invisible frames being built around you. Who is building them? And more importantly, are you ready to start building your own?